Welcome back, guys. We're continuing our conversation with Toni Riley on the bright side of broken. I have to keep looking at it. So you said you had one more little thing
Yes, I was going to talk a little bit about not only does God bring good out of trauma and tragedy that was out of not necessarily in your control, things that just happen in life, but he also brings out good out of your own bad decisions. So I do have a story.
So intrigued right now.
There's a story I have after my husband passed away, before I met my current husband, that was a bad decision on my part. I got into that relationship thinking that, it was, I felt in my mind at the time, because they believe I was so vulnerable after my loss and I didn't want to deal with that pain. So I jumped into a relationship like a month after my husband passed away.
Crutch, right? Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Rebound. Yeah.
And I thought I knew this person because it was someone in the healthcare profession. They were my doctor. And now I know that...
Red flags.
That's extreme red flags. But 1, I was naive. 2, gullible. 3, ignoring red flags.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter at the time. So I jump into this relationship thinking this person is a really good person, and it turns out they were not a good person at all. And I still could not get out of that relationship knowing the things that I knew. Later on, found out, and I'll let the audience, read the story. But in the end, I finally see things the way they are, and I am given the strength. There is a scripture, Philippians 4:13, that says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And that is the only way I got out of that thing.
Wow. Well, it's like I remember I broke up with somebody years ago, and I was complaining about all these things about them. This friend of mine, she goes, you realize all those things have always been there, you just chose not to see them. And I'm like, yep, that's about right. But isn't that funny how we will do that? Oh my God, this person's perfect. They crap on the floor. You mean like the most random things. And you're like, oh, well, it'll be fine,
Yeah. Or,
nope, it gets worse.
Better. Or, I'll just teach them how to be in a relationship. That was something I told myself. I'll just teach them how to be. They weren't interested in being in a relationship. That was it was all about power and control. Yeah.
I have one story real quick that, about the signs, going back to the previous one about Boston and all that. I put on Tri-Fort Worth, which it was way more than I should have even attempted. In that second year, I remember sitting there the night before, and I'm thinking to myself, praying. I'm like, on paper, this is not going to work. Like financially, this is not going to work. Like I said, God, just tell me what to do. Like I don't have a clue how I'm going to get out of this or what's going to happen. And then that morning, like the weather's perfect, and it's like, because you're checking the weather all the time.
Yes.
3 o'clock in the morning, this storm comes out of nowhere, and it doesn't. It comes, it camps right over Marine Creek, and it doesn't move. Everything is getting flooded and flooded and flooded. I'm like, I'm still trying to make it work. They're like, oh, we can do this. And then finally, everybody, all the other races in the Metroplex are canceling. They're telling me cancel. I'm like, oh, this is it. This is the sign right here. And I canceled. Then I'm like, wow, sometimes you do have to just shut up and listen.
Yep. He was definitely speaking to you on that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many.
What a blessing.
There's just so many that.
Because you knew that wasn't going to work, and the only way it was going to work was if he came in and whoosh.
Yep.
Awesome.
Now, where can people buy the book?
You can get it on Amazon. It's also available on my website, which is ToniRiley.com. If you do order from my website, I will maybe write a little note in there
Wow.
and sign it and send it to you.
Oh my gosh, you might get
So-
20 people buy that from right here. That could be.
Hey, that's great.
Have you, do you think there's more books coming?
I believe there is. I have no idea what it is, but I believe there is either a workbook to this or.
Did you
Something.
self-publish?
So I had a hybrid publisher.
Okay.
So basically, they coach you and teach you how to publish yourself. So it was nice because it helped me learn how to publish a book.
Yeah.
I'd never written a book, and I didn't know the first thing about it. So
I've opened 12 in my life. Yeah, that intrigues me.
well,
that
I think
intrigues
you're going to
the
be
book.
on number 13 here.
Yeah. Are you, have you thought about doing the Audible version?
Yes.
Have you?
And actually, that might be something.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
So people have told me that they think I should use my own voice because I guess it's soothing. I have no idea. But I would probably want to record my own voice.
I have an idea for you that we won't let you guys know.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
so this is what has always intrigued me because it's so bizarre. How do you, once your husband passes, what was your first course of action to start dating? Because things were online,
Things are online.
like online dating. Like, where did you go first?
Yeah, well, okay. So that relationship thing wouldn't have happened if he weren't my doctor. So I probably just would have not done anything for a while and just dealt with the pain. But because it was just right there and so convenient.
Now that's not ethical, is it?
No.
Okay, that's what I
No,
thought.
it's not. And I learned that I learned that later, that especially for the doctor, it is completely unethical to have a relationship with your patient.
Wow.
So when I practice now in my work, that is so clear, and so like my boundaries have changed tremendously since all of that, in a good way,
Well,
healthy way.
like so many people you really have to be who you are from the very first moment. So many times people are trying to impress or get you to like me, you know what I mean? It's not real.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, wait a minute, I've been faking this the whole time. And
Yeah.
but what did you, like, I mean, I feel like we can't ask what the red flags are because of this person, like I don't want to.
Oh, no, it's okay. Their name will never come up. Except in the book, I refer to him as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I have so much to say. I don't want to say it because people will get upset. But now, you dated other people before you got married again, right?
Yes, sort of.
Were they?
Not really.
Yeah. But you knew right away, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I stopped seeing anybody for a while, and I was like, I need to deal with my pain. I need to deal with my own issues, because just because that person was, not nice to me or treated me in a poor way, there was something wrong with me as well, because I was putting up with that. I was dealing with that. I wasn't getting away from it. So what was wrong with me that I was continuing to put up with this behavior? So I had to learn boundaries, which was extremely important and extremely beneficial,
Yeah.
because I used to trust people. I assumed the best in people, which I still do, but I also listen to that discernment. So like, okay, if there is a red flag, you see the red flag, you need to pay attention to the red flag. Is it something you can live with, or is it something that is, not acceptable? And you have to go through and learn what those things are.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, yeah, I think so many of my relationships didn't work because so many people thought, I want to be carefree and be like this person, and once they're with me, they're like, I can't handle this. Like, I'm energy, you know what I mean? I'm go, 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 go. So it's like,
Interesting.
you have to be who you are, but you also have to know who you are, which means you have to be healed. You have to, like, we're all kind of broken. You know what I mean? We're not
broken.
all new vehicles.
We're all broken.
Yeah.
None of us are perfect.
Yeah, we all have our
Broken.
little things, but it's
Yeah.
like, as long as you own those and you're
Yes.
not hiding them, then,
Yes.
you know.
As long as you're willing to be aware of yourself and your own drawbacks and try to
Yeah.
work with those and make it better.
So now your current husband, where did you meet?
So you're talking about online dating. So I
Which platform?
Match.
Okay.
So I prayed about it because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, so you're just going to have to bring this guy to me because obviously I'm a bad picker, right? So I said, Lord, you bring the man to me. I'm not going to search. So I didn't do any, I looked, but I didn't do any reaching out or anything. And it was, and I said, Lord, please don't let it be like a super long time, because it had been 7 months, 8 months since I didn't have anything to do with anybody. Went on a couple dates, but it was just like, no, nothing happened, just like coffee shop type meetings, right? So, so I get this about 2 weeks after that prayer, I get this message, and I had a cycling picture in there, and a little jumpy picture, and and I got this note from my now husband, and he said, "Hey, I liked your pictures. Do you need a cycling partner?" Because he's a cyclist.
Yeah.
So I looked at his profile, and here's the other thing: I was going to school full time, and I had my son, and I was still doing my personal training stuff.
You're busy.
So I was really busy, which was good, because that just kept me from being doing anything else. And it took me like 24 hours to get back to him, and I think he was like, he still jokes with me like, "Oh yeah, you didn't message me for like a month later, I'm like, no, it wasn't that long, but
You made him work for it. It's fine.
so anyway, I looked at his profile, and it was interesting to me that what he was saying on his profile was very similar to what I was saying on my profile, just about the type of person they're looking for. And I could tell by his profile that he was kind of thrown into the dating world. He didn't really want to be dating, but he, is interested in a relationship. So I thought, okay, that's a good thing. So so I reached back out to him, and I said, yes, as a matter of fact, I do need a cycling partner. And so we messaged back and forth, and he said, hey, I like messaging. Would you be okay with me texting you? I said, sure. So we texted back and forth for a while, and he said, hey, I really like texting you, but, would you mind if we had a phone call? I'm like, I would love to have a phone call. So then we talked, and I had learned so much about him in 30 minutes. It was just...
Well, when you know, you know.
Yep.
You know?
So then he was like, hey, I like talking to you, but would you want to meet up? And I was like, okay, well, how am I going to do this? Because I was also training for the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
So it was school full-time, training for Boston, had my son, all that. So, but fortunately, he lives down in this area, and I was running down in this area. I was living in Keller at the time. So I was like, well, I just so happen to be doing my last long run on Saturday. I'll be in your area, so maybe we can meet up. So we met at Press Cafe, and I was still praying, like, Lord, if this isn't the guy, close the door. And so we talked, and it was great. And so after that date, I went home, and I said, and I had thought I had heard something like, he's the one. And I was like, is that me? That's just me. Or is that you, God? I don't know. Because he speaks quietly, right? So finally got home, went in the bathroom, went to wash my hands, and I went to grab the soap, and I was like thinking in my head, okay, Lord, if he's not the one, and I heard this huge, like, intense, I told you he's the one. And I had this feeling I still have not had since that day, of intense, like, love of God for me that I had never felt before.
And no red flags.
No red flags. Brought me to my knees. Took me about 30 minutes to get off the floor because it was so intense. And then I was like, okay, now I know he's the one. Now what do I tell him? Like,
I hope you didn't tell him right away.
Or do I keep it to myself?
Did you tell him right away? No.
I waited about a week.
Okay. A week? I would have waited a year.
Which is not like me. Usually I can't hold anything in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Why are you making me nervous? Not like I'm on the date.
Well, and I thought it was going to be this great thing. Like, he was going to be like, oh, yay, this is great. But I think he was a little intimidated. Like, oh, now I have to meet up to these expectations of being the one. But that really wasn't it at all. It was just,
Yeah.
we're both imperfect. We're both,
Yeah.
you know.
And I think
broken.
communication's the key. You know what I mean? Like, you just say what you know what I mean? So many people are afraid to say or afraid to be themselves. So,
Yeah.
wow.
So that's that.
So go check out The Bright Side of Broken. Let me know what you think. I'll put links down in the comments below. I think that's it. Thanks, guys.